Hi guys, you're welcome to another tutorial video. But before then guys, this is just me telling you that lately I've just been overwhelmingly overwhelmed. I don't know if there's any word like that, but permit me to use that word because this is how I've been feeling lately. Like so many things to get done in very limited time, and guys, that can be overwhelming. Okay, but yeah, without debating so much, but this is just me telling you how I've been feeling lately, and I'm sure that's not bad. Okay, I need to communicate how it's been going. So welcome to another tutorial video. In today's tutorial guys, we're going to be making this beautiful stylish bustier crop top with a cut together gathered or draped sleeve. This top, as you can see, is stylish, cheeky and classy, and if this video is the one you're interested in, please sit right back, relax, enjoy watching. But before then, do not forget to subscribe, like, and tell somebody that we exist on this channel. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right into the tutorial. Here with me is my tape rule, my curve rule, my straight rule, and then my marker. So these are the items I'm going to be using for this tutorial. And to get started, I'm going to be marking from the shoulder to the under bust, which is 14.5 inches, and then plus 1 inch seam allowance. So from the shoulder, I mark down 15.5 inches seam allowance. That's from the shoulder to the under bust plus 1 inch, and I have that connected. Please note that for this pattern drafting, I'm going to be adding all my seam allowances to the pattern. Okay, so by the time I'm cutting the fabric, you will not be seeing me adding any extras to the fabric because I'm going to be adding all my seam allowances to it. Because as you can see from here, I already added my 1 inch for the under bust seam allowance. Up next is to divide the breast distance measurement. That's the nipple to nipple distance divided by 2 plus half an inch. Okay, so from the center fold area, which is this point, you mark out your breast distance measurement divided by 2 plus half. In this case, it gave me 4.5. Okay, so next is to mark out the shoulder divided by 2 plus 2.5. So for the shoulder is 15 divided by 2 will give me 7.5 plus 2.5 will give me 10 inches. So I have the shoulder marked out. So from this point to this point, I have the shoulder divided by 2 plus 2.5. Next is to mark out the armhole and then the breast point. So for the armhole, I'm going to be using 8.5 inches, and then for the breast point is 11 point plus half an inch, which is 11.5. So this breast point measurement, I come to the center fold, I also mark so that I can connect both points. So this is the armhole length, and then I also connect horizontally like so to give me the armhole, and then at the breast point I connect both points. Here is the armhole, the breast point, and the under bust. So at this point I'm going to be marking out the upper chest length. So for this upper chest length, I'm going to be using 6.5. so I mark it at these both points, and then I connect them to the armhole area. And here is the upper chest. So at this upper chest length, I'm going to be marking 3/4 on both sides of the breast distance measurement, making 1.5 from this point to this point. So I have 3/4 on both sides, and then at the upper shoulder area also I mark the same 3/4 on both sides. And then at the under bust, I'm going to be marking 1 inch on both sides of the breast distance line, making a total of 2 inches. And then I connect from the shoulder to the upper chest length, so I connect downwards like so. And for the connection that is going to give us the bust, that's the cup for the bust, in case you do not have anything that would help you, something like this, a cover or anything, I'm going to show you what to do or how to go about it so that you can have a perfect curve even without a cover. So from the breast point, I'm going to be marking 1 inch upward and then 1 inch downward. That's between the breast points, and then from this upper chest you just carefully connect like so, and then from the under bust as well you connect. Let's connect with our cover and see if it gives us the same thing. So as you can see, the connection, it's giving us like almost exactly, I can say almost exactly the same thing that the freehand gave me. So you connect like so from the upper chest to the breast point, and from the under bust to the breast point, and that's basically it. And then for the armhole connection, for the armhole, I'm going to be coming down at this point by 3/4 inch. That's for the shoulder slant. So I mark 3/4 inch, and then I connect to the base of the neckline like so. And then at this point, the distance I have from here to here, which I think I have 7.5 inches left, I divide that by 2, which will give me 3.75. And then at that point, I come out by half an inch. I'm sure at this point you should know how to connect your armhole, but if you don't, here it is. So I'm just going to connect the armhole like so. So I have the armhole connected. So the next thing, I'm going to divide in the bust measurement by 4 plus my seam allowance. So the bust is 42 inches divided by 4 give me 10.5 plus an extra seam allowance of 2.5 inches. And then I come down to the under bust. If you are following my bustier measurement pattern drafting, you should know by now that whatever I have at the bust measurement, I just add 1/4 inch to it at the under bust. Okay, so for the bust measurement, I think I have a total of 13 inches. I just add 1/4 inch to it at the under bust to give me 13 1/4, and then I connect like so. So with this, my front is almost ready except for the neckline, which I'm going to be coming back to later. So for the back, I just extend all my horizontal measurements like so. And the first thing to do, I'm going to be marking out the zipper allowance of 1.5 inch. So this is the zipper allowance I mark out, and then I connect like so, and then I just write it out, you know, for clarity's sake. So the next thing to do is to mark out the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus 1 inch. That's for the back. Remember, for the front we added 2.5 because of the cutout, and then at this point as well I mark and then I connect like so. But before I curve out the armhole, I'm going to be coming down by 3/4 inch. That's for the shoulder slant, and this point is the bust divided by 4 plus 2, and then from this point I just get the midpoint, which is 3.5, and from that point I place my curve so that I can curve out the armhole. So after I've curved out the armhole, the next thing is to come to the breast point line and then to divide the bust by 4 plus the seam allowance. So this is 10.5 plus an extra 1.5 seam allowance. And then at the under bust, please note that there's no dart for this top. This is because the neckline is so deep. Okay, so we just have little left after we cut out the neckline, so there is no need for a dart. So at the under bust length, you just divide the under bust round measurement by 4 plus an extra 1.5 seam allowance, and then you connect all the points from the armhole to the under bust. So next I'm going to be marking out the neckline. So for the width of the neckline, I'm going to be using 5.5 inches because this neckline is actually wide, and then for the depth I'm going to be using 9 inches for the depth. I don't want it lower than that. And then what we have here, I just come down here, I also mark the same 5.5, and then I connect to give me like a rectangle. And then at this point I'm going to be curving now because it's not a rectangular neckline, it's kind of curving like a U kind of. So I just connect, and then at the shoulder slant I connect to the neckline to give me the shoulder slant. So this is the front and this is the back, so we are left with the neckline for the front. And for the front neckline, you either cut out your neckline during the stitching process by the time you have joined the upper part together, or you can cut right from, you know, the pattern paper, and that's what I'm going to be doing. Remember, we have 5.5 for the width of the neckline. So when we come to the front, remember we are going to be taking this part out and then have it stitched together with 1/4 inch, unlike the lower part I'll be using 1/2 inch to stitch. So if you see me measure, you can see that we have from here to here to be 3.5 because I'm taking out that 1/4 inch, and then I come to this other side again, I mark out the 1/4 inch for the stitching. So you can see that we are going to be using this place for stitching, and then from here to here we have 3.5 inches left, and then from this 1/4 inch here I can place the tipple at the 3.5 to get the width of the neckline, which is 5.5. so this is the neckline width. And then for the depth of the neckline, I'm going to be using 7 inches for the depth at the center fold area. And because this is a sweetheart, at this point at 5.5 point I mark 6 inches, and then I'm going to be connecting this one with a straight line like so, and then with my curve rule I'm going to be forming the sweetheart shape. So I connect to form the sweetheart. So if you look closely at these 2 points, they are unequal. Okay, so to equalize both points, I measure here gave me about 0.925 and here gave me about 0.625. so I'm going to be coming up by I think less than 1/4 inch so that it can be equal with this other side, and then I connect back, you know, to the center fold at the sweetheart area. So this is it. And then at this point we're not going to be using this other line. Let me cancel it out, and then I also cancel out all these points that I would not be using. So it's time for us to cut out. So this is how the cutting goes. You just cut all the way like so. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do well by subscribing. Please take note of this point. Can you see how I'm going about that cutting? Okay, so you just carefully follow your cut out or your marked out point like so, and then it's time to cut out the cup area. So this is coming out really beautiful. So let's place this together to see. At this point, can you see by the time we place together, you can see we have it equal, unlike the first line that we have. Can you see? So we now have it equal. I'm sure you understand better now. So we have our center fold marked out. So it's time for us to cut out the back pattern as well. So we just continue cutting like so, following all our marked out points. This is our zipper allowance, And please give this video a thumbs up if you haven't done that already. Thank you guys in advance. So this is how the cutting goes. This is the back pattern and then this is the front pattern. So our pattern is ready for use. So for the lower part or the flesh part of the dress, we are going to be using, I'm going to be using the length of the width of 9 inches for the width, and then for the length, I think for this pattern paper I have a total of about 36 inches, which is 1 yard of fabric. So for that, I'm going to be using as much as I need to give me the fullness that I want. So for this length, I'm going to be using like about times 3 or 4 of this length on the fabric. So I get my fabric and then I place my fabric on fold, and then I'm going to be cutting out all the patterns for the front and then the back. I hope you remember that from the beginning I stated that I am not going to be adding any extra seam allowances to the fabric when I'm cutting. So as you can see, I'm not adding any seam allowances because I already have all my seam allowances added to the pattern already. So I have the front cut out, and also I'm going to be cutting out the back. And at this point I have my pieces for both the front and the back ready. So this is the front, I'm putting them side by side, and then for the flesh part or the lower part of the top, like I said earlier on, I'm going to be cutting as much as can cover, you know, the length that I want. So for this fabric I have about 46 inches, so I'm going to be cutting about 3 of this length so that it can cover the whole space that I want for the top. So I just place on fold like so and measure out my width, and then I cut out. So I just cut about 3 of this. Okay, that should serve, and I'm going to be joining them together to give me a whole piece of fabric. So here we have all our pieces with the interfacing and stay on them. So here is what they look like. This is the back piece, this is the front piece, and then we also have the interfacing. And at this point I'm going to be stitching all together. I'm going to be stitching the front pieces together, the back pieces together, and then I'll come back and show us what it looks like. So this is the front piece. I've joined the 3 pieces together, and this is me ironing the cup area, and you can see how beautiful the cup has come out. That's for the front area. This is what it looks like. And then for the interfacing as well, I give you the same ironing, and then this is for the back. I've turned it with the interfacing, so I'm going to be turning it inside out and give it a good press. And afterwards, here we have all our iron pieces together. So the next thing, I'm going to be turning the front with the interfacing. So I'm going to be placing it right side to right side like so, and then I stitch the neckline and the side, and this is what it looks like after stitching the interfacing to the main bodies. This is what it looks like. Okay, so this is what we have. And then for the back, I've already ironed out the zipper allowance as well, so I'm going to be closing the shoulder and then the armhole area with a bias, or you can turn with your interfacing if you can. So whatever works for you, just do that. And this is the lower part of the top. I'm going to be draping. In case you're draping, like, because this fabric is actually thick, after I put the stay on it, it was actually very thick, so you can use your free hand to do your draping or your gathered. So after that, let's now stitch the upper parts to the lower part of the dress. So to get that done, you're going to be stitching from the back like so, using 1/2 inch from the under bust area of the back, and then at this side area you just come out by 1.5 inch. Okay, don't get to the end, and then you just, you know, curve like so. I'm sure you can see how I'm connecting like so. So you're going to be doing like that across the shoulder like so. Can you see? You just mark, dividing the shoulder width by 2. You just follow that line and then all the way to the back, to the front I mean, and then you come down, you keep connecting across the side of the bust, and you come down. By the time you come to this side, that's to the lower part as well, you mark out another 1.5 inch like so, and then you just curve along that part. Don't allow it touch the edge of the top, and then you just connect to the waist like so. Just connect but through the side again. You just repeat the same thing you've done to this other side, and then to this other side, and back to the back, and then you finish up at this point. So that's basically it. So I get the lower part, and then I'm going to be following what I marked out. I'm going to be stitching like so. So let's get to the stitching machine and then finish up the whole process. So this is how the stitching goes. You just carefully stitch, because this is thick because of the kind of stay. I use the thick stay on the lower part. So you just keep stitching along all the parts that you marked out like so. So you stitch all the way from the back across the shoulder and to the front. And finally, this is what we have. This is how beautiful it came out. Like this, really, like I got exactly what I wanted. This is the back part. This is what it looks like. So guys, this is what our beautiful top looks like. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. Please endeavor to give this video a thumbs up and then share your thoughts in the comment section, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and most importantly, do not forget to share. Tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody that a beautiful channel like this exists. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next one. Bye.